What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Justin, and today I am finally doing this. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I'm here to show off the best amp ever made. For me, that is. I just got this over the winter, and I've been out with it now, touring with the Justin Taylor Band for about 3.5, 4 months. And it's time that I talk about it, because Marshall finally made the perfect amp that I can't live without on the road. So here's the signal chain. Let's get into it. First thing, starts with my hands, goes into this beautiful PRS Custom 24 35th anniversary that I've got here, and 8515 pickups straight into the front. Normally this thing lives in the road case with the rack unit and everything that I use to switch the rig and the MIDI control while I'm singing. But today, guitar straight into the front of the amp so I can give you guys all of the bells and whistles and all the things that this thing does. Now what I'm going to start, which by the way I'm tuned to E flat, the PRS has 8515 pickups in it, and I've got it set on the low setting as far as the wattage is concerned. The Marshall Origin 20 is a 20 watt EL34 power amp tube amp, and in the preamp section it's got like these ECC 83 or 84 tubes. Not sure really what those are, but I'm not going to change them because I really like them. And it's got 3 different power sections. It's got a low, mid, and high output, which I believe the high output is obviously the 20 watt. The mid, I believe, is the 10, and the low is about a 5 watt setting. I kind of always leave it on the low setting just because of the way that the amp compresses and breaks up. And most of the time, it really allows me to really drive it. And I use pedals in the front of this to really get like my core dirt tone that people are known to hear come from me. So a lot of my dirt's coming from the pedals. So I set this more of a plexi-ish kind of tone anyway. And if you hear the dogs upstairs, I apologize, but I cannot not have that in my videos, so deal with it. And over here on the Origin 20, you have the output sections here where you can control the output. You have a presence and master volume for the output section. You've got a 3-band EQ, treble, middle, and bass, and then also a tilt control, which kind of, from my ear, it shaves off or adds some brightness depending on where you have it set. And then you've got the gain and a push out, pull out knob for the gain, which I don't really use a whole lot. The way I've got it set, and I'll put a picture up here on the screen or put it in the comment section so you guys can see how I've got it set. On the low setting, I've got the presence at 6. The master volume is at 3 right now, which depending on the size of the venue, and right now I'm home, so it can go anywhere from 3 up to 6 or 7. Sometimes in some venues I run it at 8, 8. So that'd be about 4 o'clock on the master volume, depending on the size of the venue. And the treble is at 4, middle is straight up, the bass is at 6. I've got the tilt control on 4. And the gain kind of ends up somewhere between 5 and 6, depending on where I've got the master volume driving. And that's pretty much where I keep it. Pull boost I don't use, I leave it in. And coming out of the guitars, going through the rig, no matter what the rig is I'm using. Once we hit the amp, I have it set like this, and the cabinet, what you're hearing from the room mic is 2 Marshall G12Hs and 2 V30s. So let's get some tone, shall we? So I've got my PRS set to the humbucker position, treble pickup, and straight in the front. Here we go. It's already breaking up real nice, and the master being low kind of helps control the volume aspect of it. But we'll give it a little more love. We'll set the volume at master volume at 5. And even with the master at 7, that's where it is now. Back to 4. I love that Marshall really found a way to make it so the master volume really doesn't affect the way the amp compresses or the way the gain structure is before you even drive any pedals into it. The natural, the natural breakup from the amp is really true and transparent, no matter where the master volume is at, which a lot of amps that have had master volumes, the thing that I always did was just turn the master all the way up and then try to get the channel volume and the gain to mesh where I want it. But there is only a master volume. The gain knob does too. The gain actually depends. So the gain is what dictates the actual volume of the output and how much saturation you're getting from the gain stage, which I think is great. Honestly, just give me, let me set the gain where I want it, and then the master volume really almost kind of self-attenuates the amp, which I think is really clever. And I love that. That's probably my favorite thing about the amp, is that no matter where we are, this thing lives in the road case. So when I wheel it in, my dirt pedals in the rack are always the same. The amp is always set the same. Everything in my rig is set the same. The only thing I do is I toggle the master volume depending on the size of the venue we're in and where the sound guy's comfortable. Literally, I never touch this amp. This is the only knob I ever touch on this amp. It's amazing. And it cleans up very well. So here's on 10. Here's rolled down to about 7. And if I split the coil on the PRS, you get some really jangly tones. Amp's great. Also, real quick, little interruption. Big shout out to Spectraflex cables for always making sure that I'm heard. I've always used them. They endorsed me when I was 17 and didn't have anything and was hardly playing, and they stuck with me ever since. So, Spectraflex, thank you guys for making the best cables in the world. I love you. Now, that's what the amp does the way that I like it. If you were to, if you were in an AC/DC cover band, obviously you could literally just steal these settings. You could play everything on there. But what what if you're somebody that really wants to drive the front of the amp, wants to use the amp to, you want to get all your gain from the amp and all the saturation from it, and you want the amp to be doing most of the work, and you're going to run it more directly into the front like I'm doing here, and you just need more out of it. Well, we'll take the gain from 6 and crank this. Just crank it. We're just going to crank it. So gain is all the way up. The master volume is still on 7. This might get loud. But it doesn't get much louder because, again, the master volume circuit does an amazing job at keeping the volume really, really low and manageable to where you can really just not have to worry about blowing the people out in the front row. But it does, when you get the gain all the way up and you max it out, it gets a little fizzy for me. Especially when you pull. Now this is with the gain knob, the pull boost out. That's where you start to lose a lot of the definition, just in my personal opinion. So what I would do is, honestly, I would set it the way I've got it set up, and put some dirt in front of it and let the rest of the rig kind of let this amp do what it does. This amp will do everything if you put the right tools in front of it. So this is everything I love about it. I only have a couple gripes with it. The one thing is, now I got this secondhand, so when they sent it to me, I didn't get the foot switch, which is fine because I don't do any foot switching. But the foot switch allows you to control the pull boost, so you could leave that out in theory and always activate the pull boost for the gain circuit whenever you want. But the foot switch also allows you to control the effects loop. So I have not been able to use the effects loop because I don't have the foot switch, and I didn't order it because I'm lazy. And I wouldn't use the effects loop anyway. Even in the rack rig, all of my wet effects that come from the TCG system all just go straight into the front of the amp because it sounds really good. I don't really need the effects loop, but it would have been nice to have. Also, the back of this Marshall cab has it's a 1/4-inch DI output, which there's been several gigs where the Marshall cab was not present because of the size of the venue. So I rolled the rack case that the head lives in, rolled it directly onto my side of the stage, used the DI emulated output on the back of the Marshall, and plugged it directly into the front of the house. And the sound guys loved it. So the emulated output, the DI, is fantastic. And for that reason, I highly recommend this amp. I love this amp so much. Marshall did an incredible job making it. So Marshall, if you guys are watching, thank you for making an amazing piece of gear that I trust with my life, and it has not let me down. And thank you for showing me the light. Big thank you to PRS, thank you to SpectraFlex Cables, Marshall, I love you guys, thank you so very much. Ernie Ball, also, I am burning through strings. I am burning through strings. Got a lot of gigs coming up. If you guys want to find out where I'm playing, please be sure to go follow my Spotify, follow my Apple Music. You can go to JustinTaylorBand.com to go find all of my tour dates, or follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And as always, have a great day. Keep rocking, and I'll see you next time.